killed a non-insignificant number of Reapers. Now we are actually loaded in on the observer screen, so let me tell you who this man is, because heaven forbid you wouldn't know otherwise. In the bottom right, wearing the blue representing Team Exxon, he is SpeCial.
In the top left, there's the red Zerg. He is JimRising. Okay, so forgot about the intros.
Yeah.
So 2 racks, but not quite a 3 racks. I mean, still going to be some of that heavy pressure that you weren't necessarily thinking about. When you get into this game, when you get into this matchup, it's not like everyone's doing it, but certainly it's going to be scouted, and he's going to be able to determine it's only 2. I mean, generally we see just like strong queen and Ling usage against this. Some people feel the necessity to go into roaches, but it can be kind of awkward, honestly. And since it is only 2 barracks, I would actually really hope not to see roaches.
Yeah, he's not like doing like the mega commitment, but I think you brought this up earlier, right? This is the sort of thing that we actually see a lot of from like Kellizer, and there might have been one other person that I think I saw do it recently, but it was probably SpeCial last season, if I'm being honest with myself. The Reapers, you get to put on a lot of pressure. You have the opportunity to deny the early third that a lot of Zerg players love to go for. Now, since JimRising is a player that we kind of talk about being the underdog here, we wouldn't be surprised if he didn't care about the later third, because maybe his strategy for this game is to just push the Reapers away, go into a lair, build a Nidus, and YOLO, right? Just put it all on 8, right? Roddy style. And there is a Baneling nest starting up. That doesn't really say anything, not at this stage. I don't know that he's going to try to counter Baneling bust, maybe? Actually, yeah, why would he build Baneling nest if he thinks he's being mass Reapered against on 2 bases?
You know, some people did respond to 3-Rax Reaper with this. They were hoping that if the wraparound wasn't going to be good enough because grenades sent everyone flying, they were hoping that the Banelings would hit. But when I see it now, I absolutely anticipate just a Baneling bust in return. They're not going to have the fastest factory, and they're certainly not going to have a lot of Hellions, if they have any at all, actually. And while some of their wall at the front is strong, some of their wall isn't. That's still 2 supply depots that are going to be breakable. And how does SpeCial hold this one? He'll have maybe a couple of Hellions, literally just 2. I'm actually kind of scared, man.
My least favorite thing about this situation is that there's no wall off between the main and the natural. And I think if SpeCial realized what was happening, he could win this game just by doing that. Like if he could reposition one of these buildings or just throw down 3 depots, just anything so that just the number of Banelings is not enough to break both tiers of the wall. But since there is no second tier of the wall, once he gets through here, this is going to be a bit difficult for him to deal with. The Reapers can dance and micro all they want, but that's a lot of Zerglings and Banelings, Zombie Grub.
2 Hellions, a handful of Reapers. Can SpeCial's micro do it? A good split at the end as he takes out all of the links. The Banelings remaining waddle into like 1 Reaper each, and that was some damn good handling of that. I thought he was absolutely screwed. He still has his Hellions alive.
He still has his wall, Zombie Grub.
Hello?
That is the most important weird side effect. He let the units in because he thought he could deal with it specifically so that he could raise the wall again by not ever having the wall get destroyed. Okay, I don't know. He didn't close the top part. Never mind. Take it all back. He's gonna take a little more damage now. But yeah, I like the concept there, I guess, is perhaps the better way for me to phrase that.
Gonna lose one of those Hellions. 2 of those Hellions, actually, that he was gonna go across the map with and turn into Hellbats. I mean, this is still a good position for SpeCial, even though it gets a little bit awkward and he doesn't quite get to do like his build the way he wanted. Now, he defended a 2-base Baneling bust. Like, he is fine. He has 2 orbitals. He has 31 workers. JimRising has no 3rd hatcheries. He'll lose another Overlord. No, SpeCial is fine. If anything, I think just keeping it back at home and making sure you don't lose in a silly way, it'd be SpeCial's best option. Liberate harassment, sure, but keep your Hellions at home.
Amen. Good play. I could not agree with you more, Zombie Grub. At the very least, you need to close that door, right? If the Lings hadn't run in and the depot was there, he could have repaired. It's not like there were more Banelings immediately ready. Having to take the time to build more would have certainly bought enough time to get more Hellions to deal with that bust whenever it would have happened. But of course, that's not the reality that we live in. But we do have the Liberator showing up to do its poking, its prodding now. The dream scenario is to be able to cut off 1 mineral patch without the Queen being able to hit you from somewhere safe. He kills the Queen. can't really ask for much more than that because there ain't nothing else here to defend against this with. There's just a million lings on the other side of the map with 6 banelings. And once the Hellions run into this, I believe that's going to be game. Yeah, he just finds these. You know, he's got 6 Hellions in an open field, Ned.
Kind of gets a little surrounded, but still is producing Hellions.
You can't break the wall, though. Like, he killed some of the Hellions, but now he doesn't have enough banelings to even break the wall if he could get to it. So, Special's completely safe. Now he has a Liberator sieged over the mineral line. GG. Well done.
GG. You know, I really can't. I feel like JimRising was correct. I feel like strategically that was a fine move. But then looking at how calm SpeCial was at dealing with it, I'm almost wondering, was it a bait? Was it like not walling off in PvP and then going, aha, gotcha, I'm gonna kill your adept and then immediately counter? Like, that was kind of amazing how he held on to that and made JimRising look silly for what was actually a very smart decision.
Yeah, that's what I thought was the play behind the first one. Because I've done it. I've seen other players do it. But you deliberately let the first wave in because you have Hellions coming out, and you're like, okay, if I split my Reapers, there's not an overwhelming number of Zerglings yet. What the Zerg wants to do is blow the depot open and then run all the Lings in, and then the follow-up Lings come in and flood. And right when the Terran thinks that they might be safe, that's when they get, you know, swarmed and overwhelmed and killed. But when you do it like that, you don't have to rebuild the depot, which means that Zerglings can't block you from rebuilding the depot. And thus, you just raise the door, and then the Ling flood can't get to you. Then you stabilize. You have, what, 4 Hellions at that point? And you should be fine. And of course, you still ended up losing 2 of the Hellions with a little bit of the, you know, not closing the door at the second time, I think was probably not intended. But no, you're spot on. It was actually a really brilliant move because he just baited JimRising since he knows that a Zerg player on like a 1.5 base all in, which is what it was, there's not really much you can do if you don't win the game with the Baneling bust.
I think you broke down like the problems of a Baneling bust really well. I mean, the Banelings aren't just for breaking down the wall and the fact that that's usually what they have to do. It's usually the most important part of it, is that the Ling flood is the real difficult part. Are the Banelings threatening if they collapse in on a bunch of SCVs? Sure, but usually splitting against Banelings isn't like the worst thing. It's that, can you take care of the Lings enveloping everything? And that's true whether it's a Ling Baneling bust on 2 bases or a Ling, you know, Roach Ravager busts as well. Like, it's actually usually the Lings getting into the nook and crannies that really causes all of the damage and really ends the game. So yeah, good breakdown there. And I can't blame JimRising for doing. I mean, no one looks at that and is like, JimRising, of course it's not going to work. Like, there's so few units. That's SpeCial really, he's got some micro, man. And next game's going to be on Pillars of Gold. And I don't know if he can do something like that again and bait JimRising again, but I'm impressed.
Yeah. So Pillars of Gold, we typically talk about as being a pretty solid map for Zerg versus Terran, just because those third bases are a bit difficult to kind of protect against the run-bys and counterattacks. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think we're probably going to see another shorter game here. SpeCial bringing some pressure because either he wants to just win quickly with something like those Reapers, or he wants to bait a counterattack or an overcommitment in defending the Reapers that then allows him to just defend said counterattack and win the game, much like in game number 1. If you can beat somebody like this, it's not like there's any real reason to let the game drag on for 30 minutes, you know? Go get dinner, watch a movie, I don't know, there's football on soon, all that jazz.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of options for SpeCial. He can kind of do what he wants to dictate the pace of this game. And even if it doesn't work, even if JimRising were to like slam dunk a defense against a Turax, I still feel like SpeCial would be like, well, I kind of got what I wanted anyways. I still threw you off and I'm doing my thing back at home. So it really is going to require a big gap in SpeCial's defense to start the snowball that is unrecoverable. You know, when Terrans lose production, that's the only way I see him losing against basically everyone in this region, if I'm being honest. I mean, Kelazur is supposed to be the guy that's like could match him, but even then their TVTs have been pretty one-sided.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why SpeCial literally wins like the majority of everything that's ever happened in this region for the existence of said tournaments in said region. It's because he's very good. He's not a dark wizard sacrificing goats that give him superpowers that only last long enough to win a best of 5. He's actually good at StarCraft, so.
And I guess the other person who was giving him a bit of trouble, I should say, it was Cham for sure. I don't want to forget about him. He's actually been doing pretty well in ZVT specifically. We might see that in the future, but right now we got to finish off this best of 3 series. In the bottom left of Pillars of Gold, we have the Red Zerg, JimRising.
And his opponent, spawning in the northeast position, the blue Terran player from Exxon Gaming, he is SpeCial.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player, man. JimRising maybe gets his chance to play his game a little bit here if SpeCial does just go for a command center 1-1-1 stim libs kind of thing. But love it. I think JimRising can show some tenacity with the kind of early mid-ish muta play. And, well, I can't avoid talking about like a Nidus Swarm or a mid-game playing Roach Ravager all in, but I'm actually kind of hoping for a bit of a mid-game regular TVZ, Ling Baneling Muta versus Marine stuff, because either that or maybe a 1-1 Roach push, and I believe that's what SpeCial looked like he was having trouble with yesterday, but I'm not sure if you're going to do it on Pillars of Gold. At one point, it looks like especially Rogue was really pushing like Roach styles on this map. And I don't know, something happened. It was like I haven't seen roaches on
yeah, I'm not a fan of. I personally like roach type builds on any map that has a ramp into the natural, right? Like that was always why those builds sucked back in the days, because you have the ramp into the natural. You can't really go up the ramp without exposing yourself. And even though a lot of maps, this one included, have like the free spots, so you can just see everything for free with the Overlord in the natural. Like even that, you still kind of have to move the Overlord into outside of the safe spot to see anything that's behind the wall. So if you wanted to try and do something like that, the risk is just so crazy high. And then if the Overlord dies or literally anything else goes wrong, you're going to lose a Ravager the first time you poke blindly up a ramp or a Roach, right? And then with the SCVs and a bunker, like everything just kind of gets ugly. It gets ugly really quickly. So I'd say I kind of see where you're coming from on that one. But I think that's also why, the same reason why you see those maybe a bigger Roach or Roach Ravager Ling attack onto the third base on this map, because the third on Pillars of Gold is pretty infamous here just because of there's so many angles to attack the low ground third. There's so many angles to attack the high ground third base between where those rocks come from, the outside area below the natural ramp, and then there's just the front of it, right? There's so many different ways that you can bring the pressure on this map. So I don't know. He is going to build a Roach Horn, so I guess he doesn't care. He's just going to eat it. But I think all the things I said still somewhat relevant, and perhaps if we see SpeCial get a full wall off there and ever kill that Overlord, it'll be pretty obvious that it was a rough play.
I was talking more about that like mid game on the third base, but this is 2-base Roach, so all the points about the ramp and whether or not you can put a tank and still kind of cover it, like that's all very important stuff. SpeCial is going to be doing a Widowmine drop, so not Hellions first of all, but Widowmine drop into invisible Widow Mines, first of all, with the armory, and then also potentially Hellbats. And Hellbats sometimes can be really helpful against Roach pushes, because you just like take tank a little while longer, right? Buy you some time to hopefully teach up a tank, or even get a Marauder, heck, build bunkers. But you do need to be doing all those things already. And unfortunately right now, as the Roaches spawn, SpeCial has yet to see it. Now, I mean, he's got to know something was up with lack of third base, but now he's trying to see the actual Roaches. Just one drop and then maybe go home. Now head into the main.
Yeah, I do love this though. The first time I saw someone doing this versus Zerg recently, my mind was kind of blown, because the theory on this type of strategy is that it's just generally bad for a lot of reasons. But if you do this correctly and you kind of flood it, it becomes very hard to deal with. And he can't really flood it in this situation. So I'm not going to say that this is the ideal environment for him to have success with that build. But on the same side of things, we look back across the map. What do you got to do to attack? You got to push up a ramp, right? It's just no bueno.
It's going to be difficult, especially when your Ravagers weren't, maybe as fast as they could have been. Now they're finally completing, with that third one to break the Liberator or a tank, but then he also had to break down the supply depot or the bunker, and he's actually going to miss the Liberator. Good dodge from SpeCial. Now he has a Liberator and a tank and a bunker. And JimRising, I guess he's going to try and make this work with all the Lings. And Lings, yeah, they definitely complicate matters. But SpeCial is pretty quick to re-walling. So it's going to be another couple Corrosive Biles on one or another. too many options for them right now. They go for the Liberator. Supply Depot still holding, just barely. Oh my God, they're gonna hold. He's not gonna kill anything.
Doesn't matter, got a wall. Doesn't matter, got a wall. Doesn't matter, got a wall. Yeah.
That might be that. Got the Liberator, so I guess he doesn't worry about harassment, but that's not much else.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's the hard part. That's why on maps where you don't have a flat space, like if you do this build on like Death Aura, right? The ramp is further away, so at the very least, with no vision, you can just try to bile from really far away. But on this map, it's literally impossible. The Overlord got pushed away by Marines once the medevac gave vision, and then you can't do anything other than take tons of free hits going up a ramp into range of the bunker. And if you get far enough into range of SCVs, right? Like that's another thing that ends up happening.
Now, there's two things that really suck for JimRising too, like more than the usual, oh, my all-in didn't work, was that it was a 2-base all-in, so no third hatchery, it's only halfway done. And that special really did hold it as well as you possibly can. He didn't pull everything back into the main and say, we didn't kill my SCVs, but my economy got really interrupted. No, he was literally peacefully mining and probably still producing SCVs while also defending. So it really was the worst case scenario. And I don't know what JimRising could do to follow this up. I'm thinking either like a 1-1 Roach push, and he's actually out of melee, so not that. Or going into a Spire. But since his layer has only just started, it's not like a Spire would be started when special attacks him, you know? Like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, you know, I wasn't sure if you were doing commentary there or a eulogy, Zombie Grub, but I have been paying attention. There's not really any, you know, it's like, oh, he's trying to get his ducks in a row, but he has like 2 ducks. It's like, okay, yes, you can put them in a row, but like, you know, it's just 2 ducks. So I imagine that special is going to get stim. He's going to get his 1-1. He's going to get his medevacs out. And then as soon as he feels comfortable, he's going to march across the map and barring some unforeseen dark magic being used on the part of JimRising's side, is gonna have a pretty big opportunity to close the series out here. There's the tanks unsieging, combat shield's almost ready, stim is almost ready with 1-1, the medevacs are out, and the Baneling nest is only just about to finish. So the opportunity for him to have like Ling speed on creep, or Bane speed, excuse me, non-existent. He could start it right now, but if special leaves at any point in the next 20 seconds, it will not be ready in time. He's still chilling for a little bit though, so maybe if he goes right now though, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, his scan didn't reveal too much information. I guess it saw that it was a saturated base, so it's like, okay, it wouldn't have the biggest army possible. I saw JimRising start Burrow and got really excited, and then he canceled it. Funnily enough, his creep spread is commendable, which means that Burrow wouldn't have worked out as well. And it is still going to be cleaned up without him being able to really utilize it like he would want. Special knows he can be a little more aggressive than usual. Marines first, now he's going to siege up the tanks really close to JimRising's base. Tries to get a wraparound to keep the Marines in place to hit the Banelings. It doesn't quite work out. Most of the Banelings being shot down or used on tanks means that a lot of Marines are left over.
Yeah, he's got plenty of bio. I mean, the support units are still really integral to the success of these types of attacks. This hatchery kind of acting as like a meat shield, soaking up tons of damage. You know, there's really not much of a value proposition to killing this hatchery over anything else, but it is in the way. So he buys himself some time with that. Siege tank's gonna get biled down, but once the Banelings are gone, these Marines rip through everything. GG.